here to stop us.
We got, okay. It is what it
This
is.
whole building is full of Columbia University, and only maybe, I don't know if any of them showed up in here today.
So I'm gonna have
Maybe
things
one.
over here. You can just don't have the.
But they don't know about it.
Okay. We got everybody in the shot.
Wow.
She's from the block. Rochelle, raise your hand.
Hi.
That's,
Wow.
we're
I'm
convention
from
states, that's,
Lawrence Park.
Wow, thank you guys so
Moving the
much.
phone over a little bit.
and that's Zoom
Wait,
in.
Such a honor.
the physical thing.
Thank you
And
guys.
Janice.
Thank you. Okay, whatever. I'll rotate that later when I'm back.
Go on in, sir.
Okay, so we are live. It's just so you know, okay? I'm starting teaching hot mode. Okay.
Where should I stand?
It's fine. I'm gonna stand right here, just so you know what. You could look in the camera if you want to see how it's located, how it's capturing with the screen. Yeah. What's up, folks? Nice to meet you today. I'm going to do a quick presentation on a couple of things. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to Student Loan Justice, Alan Kalinj. He's actually the original student loan activist. Now, the thing is that right now, he has over 1 million signatures on his petition at studentloanjustice.org, and you can check it out. He's actually been, right now, we actually are in a period of transition. This footage will actually be sent also to Penny Schwinn, the Deputy Director of U.S. Department of Education now, as well as Linda McMahon. New York City is the largest urban university system in the nation, and what goes on here is definitely indicative of some larger problems that's going on in the educational system. The fact of the matter is that CUNY has been in terms of like stolen money, misuse of federal funds. We know that there's a guy named Jeffrey Parsons who actually was misusing federal funds, having cocaine parties. He's just one of many professors in the Department of Investigations found that CUNY had large problems. We know that the largest bust in DOJ history just happened at NYCHA, New York City Housing Authority. Why don't you think that those problems are also happening in CUNY? They definitely are. Just to give a big shout out to, yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. So right now the not-for-profit industrial complex, actually, which unfortunately Columbia and CUNY are deeply a part of. Right now I can tell you that we have emails, we have recorded footage of mayoral candidates and also U.S. presidential candidates, including Alan Kalinj, who asked for a meeting between myself, Corey Edens, and the Chancellor of CUNY, who's Felix Matos Rodriguez, but he's ignored us to this very day. He could be here with us. There's several mayoral candidates here have actually submitted requests to them asking for a meeting. They've done that. I can tell you where he was recently though. He was recently at a meeting promoting CUNY at a casino meeting, and the fact of the matter is they're saying that now they're going to have a master's program for people to become dealers at blackjack tables and stuff. You're going to have a master's degree for that now. This is really, there's a lot of problematic things going on. So just once again, we know that the loans at the CUNY system, unfortunately, CUNY used to be free. And now, right, how much does it cost to teach a classroom? I swear to God, they show a YouTube video in the classroom, and they're paying, the students are paying $1,000, getting themselves into such financial hardship. Look at what's happening in Korea right now. The hardship, the academic hardship they're placing on the children is forcing their society to have a population collapse. But we only, right, have the people, the Asian American who are able to speak on events like that are the people who are not born in this country. We still have a very strong bias towards education. We've not learned the lessons of what over-education and what a curriculum that does not teach political, education, where that leads up. And it leads to a society which is broken and just having a lot of problems. Queens have the lowest birth rate in recorded history right now. It's a possible genocide on the people, but it's not really being discussed, but it's going to impact our children as well. So this is very important, and once again, thanks to the people coming out. So once again, Student Loan Justice, they're actually a very key ally, and we know that students are graduating once again with higher debt than ever before. I think that the tuition now at CUNY, I think is about $7,000 per semester or something like that. Is that correct? If I can confirm? It's
$8,000.
Huh?
$8,000.
$8,000, okay, yeah, that's a lot. It used to be free, it was actually, I think, $2,000 not too long ago. They're really competing, and does anybody know, by the way, how much the chancellor of CUNY makes?
$700,000.
Yeah, $600,000, and it gets to $7,800 per month living expense. So his rent, his groceries, $7,800 all counts. So yeah, it adds up to over $750,000, which is more than the president makes, which is insane. It's a whole bunch of executive BS going on, and unfortunately, groups like PSC, Professional Staff Congress, they can't help us because they get money from the dinnerwaiters, they get money from people that are connected to the not-for-profit industrial complex. So once again, it's up to us as a community to reach out and shout out to, once again, Student Loan Justice and their work, Alan Colinge. I love this guy, and he's gonna be, once again, speaking on 60 Minutes Time Magazine. He's gonna help us get the word out. Another group that I'm going to represent right quick is another group called Rep My Block. Now, the fact of the matter is that I've done panel discussions with criminal justice reform that was with a plan approved by Serpico. Shout out to Stephen Lee and his work as he was taking on police corruption. I had the only independent male candidate forums in 2021 election, second to third by independent candidates. And right now, I have to say that the fact of the matter that all the groups have different factions going on. Within even the Trumpers, I'm Republican right now. The fact is that there was a little internal war about what's going on with the H-1B visa, and the H-1B visa is weaponized against Asian Americans, right? They have all these diverse Asians from Asia. Now the company looks like it's got enough Asians, they don't need Asians anymore. Where does that leave me? That leaves me without a job. You know, that hurts Asian Americans like myself. So internally, there was a little fight going on. What happens in this whole thing, and the not-for-industrial complex, is one group of millionaires and another group of millionaires, and the regular people's voice is not heard. So once again, the only person you can trust is yourself. No people can share all positions of priorities. Now, right now, I'm going to also shout out, we're going to see if we have a quick presentation from Convention of States, then we're going to start our event. A lot of people, by the way, have hope in fighting against something called Citizens Unite, and I do understand that fight. I was part of Wolfpack, I was part of the initial season, and the fact of the matter, if you take a Wolfpack, they used to have 5 states that were on board to try to fight to start the amendment. Now they're down to 4. They've lost more, right? And if you take a look at another group called, you know, I work with all these groups. What is it, Constant? There's a group like that. I forgot what the name. They're more corporate. They actually have something on Wall Street.
Term limits.
What they actually hate Convention of States. What's the name of that group again?
Oh, the John Birch Society.
No, there's another one. There's another group fighting for an amendment to the Constitution. Right now, just so you know, Convention of States is over the halfway mark, as in terms of forcing a constitutional amendment. They're winning while the progressives talk about it. Their results are failing. And if you want to know if a constitution can happen, which is they're over the halfway mark, actually tell us about are you guys over 3/4 yet?
We're still at 19. I think Kansas is being litigated. That may come out very soon. We're very close in Wyoming and
okay. So we're gonna learn about real stuff going on right now. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Thank you guys for hosting us. I'm Janice Gregory. I'm Convention of States, Immediate Liaison. Convention of States is basically an Article 5 convention. We're using the Constitution. Article 5, Section 1 gives Congress the ability to amend the Constitution. Section 2 gives the people, we the people, the ability to do the same thing. This means Congress has nothing to do with it. So we go around Congress. Our 3 goals is term limits, fiscal restraint, and stop federal overreach to the states. So like I had just said, we have 19 states. We're more than halfway to our goal of 34 states. Need 34 states to go to the convention, and we will propose amendments. This is just to propose amendments. As soon as everybody agrees or whatever on an amendment, it will go back to the states to be voted on, and you need 38 states to ratify any amendment, just as Congress would do. But this is a way to go around that, because they will never impose term limits on themselves. They will never impose fiscal restraints on themselves. And it doesn't matter who the president is, doesn't matter who is elected. Okay, that's a temporary fix. Right now, people may like what Doge is doing and looking at all the waste and fraud going on. Well, we can do that, make it permanent part of the Constitution. So that's why it's important for everybody to check us out at conventionstates.com. We ask people to sign our petition. This helps us when we go to lobby the legislatures. When we go to Albany, we're able to tell them this is how many people in your district agree with us, and we don't have to be a constituent to go into their office and speak with them. You say you have 900 people in your district that agree with Convention of States. So I appreciate all of you. Check it out yourself. We have done simulated conventions on our website. We have done 2 of them, so you can go and see how the procedure it works. And if you like it, sign a petition or volunteer. We have a volunteer, if you go to, sign a petition, you go to the top of the page, it says take action. That's where all the roles are, that you can choose to become part of the Convention of States. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'm answering questions, right?
Are there any questions for
Any
Convention of States?
questions, anything? Yes?
Is this partisan, this group?
This is nonpartisan, no, we are, we invite anybody who's just cares about the country, wants to change what's going on for the better, and we can all agree on on certain things. That nothing crazy is gonna come out of this, because you need 34 states, first of all, then you need 38 states to ratify it, so, and we can find common ground. So that's what we're trying to do, is find common ground and, propose amendments to change, to make the country better for our future.
Thank
You know, I do have a quick question. So the thing is that, when I set it up, originally I had talked about, the amendments as in terms of fighting against Citizens United,
Right,
but actually Convention of States is not fighting against Citizens United. It has its own 3 separate, right,
correct.
but different ideas, right, I'm not, I support those ideas, by the way. What are the 3 major ideas of Convention of States?
Well, okay, term limits on not just Congress, but other federal employees, other officials.
Okay.
The fiscal restraints, meaning you can do a balanced budget amendment, or if that's too severe because we're too far gone, there's other ways that they can be discussed that we could all agree on, that we can restrain the fiscal responsibility of the of government. And then federal overreach to the states, you know, giving the power back to the states, because your legislators are closer to you than the people in Washington. They live where you live. You know, if there's a disaster, they're in your area. So they should be more responsive to you than the people in Washington are.
Okay, thank you so much. And by the way, I've contacted, the people fighting Citizens United and said, look, here's a credible organization that's well on its way towards, you know, actually making a constitutional amendment happen. Why don't we have a discussion with them? They didn't want to have a discussion. Convention of States was open to having a discussion with myself, and I appreciate them for being allies and for being, you know, open-minded versus a controlled not-for-profit industrial complex that is trying to control the whole conversation. So I think that's pretty much the presentation. We're ready to actually have the cans start introducing themselves now.
One question, how do we get in contact with them?
Oh, Convention of States, go
I
ahead.
have cards, you can actually, I can give you a card tonight, or anybody listening can actually go to
Why don't you go up and announce the, I'll put in the video, yeah, announce the Convention of States website and all that.
Yeah,
Go ahead, yeah.
it's conventionofstates.com.
Okay.
Convention of
Not
States.
.org or something, okay.
No,
Just straight conventionofstates.com.
correct.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
That's a great question, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, now, just so you know, I do believe, all the cans here, has anybody run here before besides Marty Nolan? Oh, yeah, you've run before? Okay, and, oh yeah, Mr. Flores, right?
Federico.
Frederico, I'm so sorry, I just met you recently, yeah?
Yeah.
So the thing is, I do know already, Dolan for taking on AOC, which is quite exciting, yeah? Nice to meet you guys, by the way, yeah, I've met you before, you've done an interview with me. Now it's time for you guys, why don't you can start introducing yourselves? So I would start from the left, but that's actually, Marty, you wanna jump in and introduce yourself?
Where?
The camera covers all the way, so you could, if you get on the end, you could just introduce yourself if you want, yeah?
There's a camera.
The camera can, it's just covering, yeah, why don't you just jump in the center then? Yeah, jump in the center, how about that, yeah?
Right here?
Yeah, that's fine, that's perfect, yeah, the camera definitely got you. Go ahead.
My name's Marty Dolan. I'm running for public advocate for the city of New York. The primary is going to be in June. I'm here with a bunch of other great candidates for different offices around New York, and I think it's a very exciting time in politics, that you have so much energy and so many people, you know, questioning core beliefs on the Republican side and on the Democratic side, and that's among the things that I want to do as a public advocate. So let's see how the forum goes today.
Probably one of our best known candidates also, well, let's go for Andy, big fan of this guy, go ahead.
Andy Oakneff here. I am running for Council District 34, which is Williamsburg and West Bushwick. I am the founder of the North Brooklyn Republican Club. We're having a meeting tomorrow night near the Myrtle Broadway J, not far from Jefferson L, Trotland Street. I'm here, and I've worked in a formal capacity in 2016 for Trump in Pennsylvania, and informally went to certain parts of battleground areas in 2024, Detroit, Milwaukee, Madison, Atlanta multiple times, Allentown, Bethlehem multiple times, and Philly multiple times. Fighting at the national level has been my focus, and I'm sort of zeroing in, we got Trump second term, and I want to bring some of those conservative values here and end our sanctuary city status.
Excellent.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rosa Diaz. I am a candidate for District 8 City Council. I am an educational parent leader. I am an immigrations advocate, immigration paralegal, supporting non-for-profits, supporting the businesses around my neighborhood in East Harlem in the South Bronx. And everything that I do is in support of my community, in support of people and by the people. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. First of all, I just want to thank the sponsors or the people who put this together. This is the beginning of something big and huge, and it's going to create a wave. Mark my words, in the next 18 months, things will change. My name is Federico Colon. I'm a product of New York City Housing Authority. I grew up there. I'm running for the 8th Council together with my friend here, Bronx. I'm part of East Harlem from like 95th Street all the way up to Madison, the mountains a little bit. And I'm here because we have to make the difference. And I think this panel, these people here, all the candidates can make that difference. We cannot count anymore on the status quo because it's destroying us not only as a people, but as a family. Fentanyl, no jobs for the kids, say no to drugs and yes to what, housing shortage that is gonna get bigger if they do, and I agree with Ross before we were talking about they're moving the Section 8 vouchers Section 9 vouchers to the 8, so we have no right. So we're in a fight, folks, and we need to win this for the people. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tabitha Ward, and I'm running for mayor of New York City. As mayor of New York City, I will solve the following problems in the areas of immigration, budget, taxes and revenue, jobs and education, infrastructure, law enforcement and crime prevention, and a few additional policies. I recently uploaded 9 videos on my YouTube channel at Tabitha CL Ward on YouTube that details each of these areas in which I would hope to bring change and solve the problems in New York City. My policies are different from other candidates, and I believe that my policies will produce long-lasting results that will last for future mayors and city council men and women. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Salvador Morales. I'm running for mayor. I want to be the next mayor because there's always a status quo, and we need to leave away no more of the past. The past is keep on becoming our future, and yeah.
My name is Elijah Diaz. I'm running for City Council in District 45, which is Flatbush, Brooklyn. I'm actually the youngest candidate ever to run for City Council. So I'm here on behalf of the youth. I'm here to fight for, my community. And for the past year or so, just about 2 years, I've been making my way around the small business community among entrepreneurs and really hearing out how this economy is not benefiting our communities. And small businesses would know that. I mean, if you're in New York City, you know how sentimental your local bodega is to you. I mean, you don't even cross the street to the other side of the street to go to that bodega, you go to your own. And that's really the energy that I've seen from a lot of small businesses. So that's a big part of my campaign. I'm humbled to seek the conservative and the Republican line in that district for the first time ever.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Luke Florzak. I'm running for District 4, which is Manhattan East, basically East 14th Street up to parts of East 93rd. My platform I'm running on is about public safety, an increase in the effectiveness and efficiency of public education, and using my background in the arts. I'm a musician, an author, a former Marine. I was actually the keyboard player for the Marine rock band than to use the arts, which the Upper East Side is, the pinnacle of the art world around the world, to bring together a closer, stronger community.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Javon Terrell Ross. I am one of the New York City mayor candidates. My platform is about love. Using love to address all the corruption in every single crack of this place. My platform is about respect and love, reform and love, so that we can restore ourselves with each other in love. It's just that simple. We can use that approach for anything that we have going on. No matter what the situation is, whether we agree with each other or not, we hear the matter out with respect, and we go from there, figure out how we can make things better for everyone. Thank you for coming, and we're looking forward to answering your questions, and hopefully we'll provide the answers that you're looking for. God bless you.
All right, so I guess we're gonna start with the questions now. I guess we'll just pass the mic back around, you guys all can have a chance to answer. So, by the way, if the audience has any questions, let me know. I'm gonna walk around after this and start seeing if you guys have questions. I have questions of my own though. So first we're gonna start with this. Actually, CUNY right now, we know that the tuition is about $8,000. If we have a lecture hall, plenty of them that fill students with about 1,000 students in the class. That's $8 million, right? In that one class, and this class is running all day long. Now, what is CUNY doing with all this? How do you feel about the tuition at CUNY? It's $8,000. It used to be free. What's your position on that right now? Go ahead.
First of all, I think that education should definitely be compensated with the community funds, meaning governmental opportunities, incentive opportunities, give you opportunities to go to school without having to pay for it, as long as they are successfully completing their programs. So that's one way to incentivize getting people to go to school and also completing school. And we have all sorts of funds that are in the system that we're not tapped into. So talking about where the funds are gonna come from it's another conversation, but we need to incentivize education with programs that provide opportunities for people to continue education, period.
So is that like a tuition increase, a decrease? What is your?
Tuition is something that should definitely be gone away with.
Okay.
It should be gone away with.
So simply, in terms of CUNY, in terms of public schools across New York City, schools should be palaces. It should cost the government as much as it can while costing the people nothing. They should be, pillars among the community of places to go for community events, to have neighborhoods be proud of. And part of that has to do with the engagement. Some of that has to do with the pride of those that work in specific schools, and some of that has to do with getting a long-term, long-lasting contract with teachers and the unions. That includes having a discussion with administrators. How does this work? But at the end of the day, no, it shouldn't cost people that go to school or families that send kids, teenagers to school, anything. It should cost the government that cost.
Well, I think, there should definitely be a threshold in education. I think CUNY has been misappropriating funds for a very long time. But I do have to question, exactly how affordable it is to get free education. I think even being that I did pay for my own schooling, I went to a SUNY purchase and eventually ended up at John Jay College. So I actually did pay for my education. I think there should be a threshold that is affordable and government funded. However, I think that free is not attainable. I don't think it's attainable. I don't think it's sustainable for any of us, especially for people who use it to go to school. And now there's a mental health crisis within the CUNY system where students are failing over and over and over again, but you still have to pay those teachers, you still have to pay the tuition, you still have to give the schools resources. So I think it definitely needs to be looked into a little bit more. I think it should be affordable. However, I don't think it should be free per se, just as an investment into yourself, that this is what you're doing to progress to the next stage of your life. And therefore, we need to, be able to invest some kind of, some kind of skin in the game, to say the least.
I say when you start your own career in CUNY, the tuition shouldn't be free, it should be subsidized. But the thing is about, if you go to CUNY, you gotta be serious. But all the time I go to Kingsborough and Brooklyn College, those students are not serious. And he said, like, the government pays it, like, you gotta, like, understand that you should see how to improve yourself. And meanwhile, yeah, like, the students should be, should have some type of freeness. But if you're outside the city, you shouldn't.
Yes, I'm a strong advocate for education. I graduated from Jacksonville State University in Jacksonville, Alabama with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. And I do support paying teachers and paying faculty what they are worth. I'm a complete supporter of that. I believe that teachers, high school teachers, middle school teachers, elementary teachers, preschool teachers, I believe they should start out at $100,000 a year. I am a strong advocate for professors making $200,000-$300,000 a year. When I was at school at JSU, my professors, their starting salary was $235,000 a year. The president of the university, JSU, he was pulling in $1 million a year, and he lived on campus, and he had a company car. I am in support of that. I am in support of our tax dollars going to funding education. I am in support of pulling money from the single market with the European Union to fund education. I am in support of, your tuition being affordable. However, I do believe in paying people what they are worth. I am in support of that. I support education. Education is one of my babies. Thank you.
It's a matter of structuring the money that we spend. We spend close to $60,000 to keep somebody in jail, but we don't want to subsidize an $8,000 college, a community college for someone. So we have to hold our elected officials accountable, and we have to shift the money, and tuition should be free for everybody. This country is only great if every individual has an opportunity to better themselves, and education is the key to that. So it's a matter of shifting that money. They want to close Rikers Island, and this is what they're trying to do, and that's fine, but what they're gonna do with all that money that they'll be spending there? Spend that money on education and tuition, please. Thanks.
So yes, when it comes to education, I can say that I am a true fierce parent advocate, have been so for the past almost 2 decades. I currently hold a lot of positions in New York City Public Schools, just because I want to see how the money is spent. I do believe that there is money being wasted, for sure. Money needs to be allocated for the children, because it starts at the bottom. And I do strongly believe that a lot of current teachers and presidents and chairs are not worth what they're being paid. So education should be, the tuition should be either low cost or free. Invest in our children, because I know for sure that I did not know about CUNY 20-something years ago when I went to college. And unfortunately, I went to private schools, did not know about CUNY at all. And I think CUNY should spend money in advertising their programs, especially if they're the lowest cost that we can actually afford. But I do believe it should be very low cost, and hopefully one day free.
Andy Oakneff here again. I'm a graduate of Cooper Union Electrical Engineering class of 2011. For those who don't know, kind of a scandal hit when I attended. The school was free for all undergraduates. This was a private institution. It was funded by the money under the Chrysler Building in significant part. had a big endowment from its founder and his son-in-law. And the scandal erupted. I was very vocal beginning in 2014. This really was my introduction to politics, saying that, what are you doing with this money? I'm echoing what my colleague here has said. Where is the money going? Why is this, the president's getting an obscene amount of money? When we're looking at these books, where is this money going? And, you know, if you go to a private institution, that's your decision. However, if you're going to a public institution, that should be free. We find money for all kinds of nonsense. We have committees that don't make any sense, that are very, very funded. For students, especially community college students, for public schools to not be free, to not give our young adults opportunities is wrong, and public schools should be free in this state.
Marty, you wanna answer?
Yeah, where should I sit?
Just jump up to the front, yeah, just jump up to the front. Yeah.
I'm on the table.
Yeah, just jump to the middle, yeah. That's all right.
Can I sit on this, it won't fall over?
I can,
Oh, we get you another chair.
yeah, I can get you,
Okay, this is, I'm alright like this.
yeah, I think should be fine, yeah.
Okay, so, I think you have to start with understanding that education is free in New York City. So when we take kids at kindergarten and we take them until they're 18, we have a public school system, we basically spend around $300,000 per kid to get them from kindergarten to age 18. And the problem we've got is not, I think, at the college level, it's at the school level, where we have low literacy. Literacy is, can you read, write, can you do basic math? You have low literacy, kids kind of do it right until they're 9 or 10 years old, and after that, it's either they lose interest in the schools, or the schools don't do a good job. It's not for lack of money. We spend more per student on students than anywhere else in the world. And we have low literacy, and then as you get towards, the time that the kids are 18, you have a low, what's called college readiness rate. So you kind of graduate the kids, but they're not really ready to do anything. You have a disconnect between the fact that the school system is run by the state, but their schools are in the city. And this is a problem. So what I think we need to do is look at this entire problem, not just at the college level, but from the time, I call it turning learners into earners. I think if the city's investing $300,000 into a young person, on the idea that then they're gonna be a taxpayer and they're gonna return and have a life, we need to look at the curriculum, we need to look at what's being taught, we need to look at the attitude of the families, we need to really figure out what can we do to improve the literacy rate is higher in Cuba than it is in the New York City school system, okay? So, the school system is free right now, and we're turning out really a bad product. And when I say we're turning out a bad product, not the Republicans. There's no boogeyman here, there's no MAGA threat, it's on us. It's our fault that we have created a school system in the city. It's not in the state. Some of the school systems upstate are really good school systems. The school systems in the state, there's something wrong with them. We're not producing taxpayers. We're producing kids who are delivering DoorDash. And then what happens is the taxpayers are taking care of these kids for the rest of their lives. And so besides putting $300,000 into a young person, now you're putting $1 million into them for the rest of their lives. This comes out of the taxpayer dollars. And, that's where I think we would get a better return, because I think that the money you put into somebody when you're 10 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old, it compounds at a greater rate. And not everybody goes to college. Not everybody is cut out to be an academic. Not everybody will have the same type of benefit. So I would focus our resources on the school system and cut everything else that we possibly can to do that.
All right, thank you so much, yeah. We're going back to the seat at the end if you want, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, sorry about that.
May I ask a follow-up?
Absolutely, we have, please step on up, if you have a question, yeah? Come on up, yeah. We're encouraging, we have actually a student organizer here from the Robert Brooks situation. Shout out to him, we're gonna bring it up. Hopefully you have a question later. We have a question for the audience, you can step on up, yeah? Thank you so much.
Sure. Ms. Ward, in particular, just as a follow-up to what the gentleman, Mr. Dolan, I believe, said. Considering that there is such a problem with the literacy rates of students in the city, considering that we've turned out and have for decades now a bad product in the system, how can you justify paying teachers, elementary level, high school, college, $100,000, $200,000 in pay?
I would justify.
Let's get the mics real quick, switch that out.
I would justify it based on the testing results. You know, when, from Alabama, you know, you were paid according to your testing results. So, you know, if you have a child that is, you know, that's in elementary school or preschool or Head Start, they would test each child there. And this played a role in not only the progression of the child, but also the retaining and the retaining of the teacher. If any of your students who were, who went to the next grade level in your class, if they could not pass a literacy test, if they could not pass any of their testing scores, that played a role in you remaining a teacher there. So I believe in hiring and retaining talented teachers, and their payment and their salaries is based on the test scores. You know, as each child is progressed to the next grade, they have to test out of that grade. And those testing scores is what determines the pay.
You can take that mic right there.
Oh, thank you. May I, at first blush, that would seem to be the answer. However, I think you all agree that we've seen that results based on testing scores simply result in the lowering of the standards to pass the test so that the scores increase, so to produce the results that you want. So then how do you protect against just that, the lowering of the standards, right? So that the kids can, because we've seen these scandals before. We've had them numerous times in the city. So how do you then justify, or how do you protect against that?
How did the standards get lowered? Who lowered the standards?
Let's make that a general question.
Yes, please do, thank you.
Let's make that a general question. We start down
How
here.
did the standards, how are they lowered? Who lowered the standards? Who are responsible for lowering those standards? Those standards should be the same across this country. And no one should have the ability to go in and lower those scores or modify those testing scores or the requirements to pass. It should be a complete standard across the scale.
60-second time limit.
You know, when you look at a big system, there's always gonna be, what we call games, you know, there'll be this, people can do this with the scores and do that with the scores. I do think that what you've gotta do is you've gotta go all the way back, probably to the 4th or 5th grade, and revise the curriculum, and you have to include weekly testing, monthly testing, so that you're catching the problems before they become compounded. And, you know, since the schools are run by the state, and since you're dealing with a union, a very strong teachers union, and I give the teachers union a lot of credit, it will take a incredibly talented, you know, political effort to improve things.
If you wanna answer.
Or pass, whatever you wanna do.
So that was a great question. I was like, oh my gosh, me, right? So I am with you. I don't believe in, you know, giving like $300,000 to a teacher that may or may not have earned it. Sometimes teachers have, you know, the little pass de baton. Yes, I'm gonna, you know, I'm qualified, right? How qualified are you? Not all teachers teach the same, by the way, also. And not all children learn the same way, right? Every child is different. Every child is unique. And we don't know what's happening at home. We don't know, are the day off testings, right? Because our children take state tests, by the way, if you haven't known. Our children are tested every single year between late March, April, and May, all grades, 3rd grade, sorry. This year, by the way, is gonna be computerized, no longer paper. So that's more pressure to the children, right? And, I'm sorry, did I write
That's
it?
it.
Oh, yeah.
Pass the mic.
Okay, to be continued.
Pass the mic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we are the country that spends the most money, and we are ranked number 12 in the world, if I'm not mistaken. So that said, and I hate to say what I'm gonna say, you know, even Elon Musk looking at, you know, Dodge and looking at how people are spending the money, and I agree, there's too much money being wasted and not going to the children, but going to people's pet projects. So we need to reevaluate. What we need to do is hold the government accountable. It's not, this is what we need to do. Hold elected officials accountable. And that's the way to get to the bottom of it. Thank you.
Now, still another 60 seconds.
Yeah,
I just
please.
wanna just say, that, I really do support hiring and retaining talented teachers. And when you hire and when you retain talented teachers, those scores will be good. I've had some of the best teachers growing up. And when you hire them, when you retain them, when you pay them well, because you notice that there's a falling off of teachers with the education system, it's simply because you're not paying them. They're very good and they're not being paid what they are worth. You hire them, you pay them, they will teach your children.
You can't fire them, right?
My position on teaching is that, teachers should have a base salary and a bonus salary. The base salary is just like, simple thing that you do for the whole year, but the bonus salary is just how much students you help them pass. It shouldn't be just for like the general teachers, should be also with like teachers across the whole building, not just teachers in that building, should be like the whole city. The mayor has the power to understand that there's always something to be abide, like they can micromanage, it's not the federal government. We are the first line of defense for national testing.
Yeah, I have to respectfully but strongly disagree with Mr. Dolan and Ms. Ward. I think that it just, testing every week is not equitable. You know, I grew up in a situation where I grew up with a disability. I missed school a lot. What about the students who don't have access to the internet? Now we're adapting to a new public school program that we don't have school days anymore. Now, when you have to teach a curriculum, you're teaching it on Zoom, you're pulling it up on Google Classroom. I graduated public school 4 years ago. I'm very aware of the problems that we have, and it's not an equitable solution. You know, back when I was testing and I was actually undergoing all of this, I did poorly, or not poorly, but I did a lot worse, and a lot of my classmates did worse when you tested more and more often, because we're more stressed out, and then you miss a day of school, and then you not only have to catch up on 1, but 5 different classes, and then you have to go in and restudy the material. It's an additional stress on the teachers, it's an additional stress on the students, and it's not an equitable solution whatsoever to be testing more.
I'm kind of in the middle of everything that's been said. We gotta find a balance between being able to pay teachers more. The teachers across the board should be paid more than what they're being paid now. I don't know if I would agree with $250,000, but surely more than what they're being paid now. Additionally, there's a need and there's a reason for testing, which I'm for. It's to find the people that are falling through the cracks. But at the same time, I think something that's being overlooked is finding also solutions for kids to want to be there. Having those outlets of, other than sitting in a classroom or sitting on Zoom and learning material and not having some way to,
I'm gonna let people go a little bit over, but if they want to finish, I think that you got intelligent ideas, but.
So, kind of to going off that, to find that outlet that, each individual kid finds a reason to want to be at school. I think that opens up the conversation of, I'm playing football, as an example. I like, an extracurricular class, that opens up a lot of doors.
I appreciate that, yes. All right, Jalen, it's just.
All right, so real quick, we need to incentivize education, period. So we need to create a community of accountability for the teachers and also for the students. We need to have a system that allows parents, friends of the family, community people to come in classrooms, monitor what's going on, go in there with a checklist and say, hey, are they being taught? What are they being taught? Making sure that the professors or teachers are doing exactly what they're doing according to their curriculum, making sure these students get what they need. And then from there, we have accountability for the teachers as well. We have an accountability team that comes in and says, hey, are you doing this? Are you doing that? And then the teachers get bonuses based on the performance of the students. And we can get them any kind of pay, period, right? But we need to have a base salary that's not out of this world. And then they're allowed to be incentivized by saying, hey, based on your child's performance in your classroom, and we know it's not just making up numbers, right? Because we have an accountability team making sure that all this is being properly documented and it is actually true. Thank you.
You still had 6 seconds, just so you know, you already set yourself in this game.
Alright, just so you know, a lot of you guys are talking about the education system, just so you know, the education system is actually the largest expenditure on the New York City budget by like 20-something%, but CUNY is only about 1%. CUNY does, however, have a lot of influence over a lot of the other things going on. I heard about accountability in the classroom, but what we're really looking for is accountability from the administrators. Remember earlier I gave the example of the 1,000 kids in the classroom and how that one class is generating $8 million. Those kids are not getting an $8 million experience. Those kids are getting someone at the front of the classroom getting paid like what, like 50, 60,000, maybe $80,000 a year, probably $50,000 as associate adjunct professor. They're playing free YouTube videos in the classroom and they're making kids buy extra books and stuff. That's not an $8 million experience at all. This is ridiculous, right? So, what's your plans to hold administrators accountable? If I Googled words CUNY corruption, the New York State investigator, they already ran an independent audit and found that there was a culture of corruption at CUNY. We see that the former bursar stole, I believe his name was Jim something, Delphine or something, he spent $500,000, of student money. There's a huge, the Department of Justice accuses Whole Young Lang of fabricating, falsifying data connected to costs for drugs, drug reports and all kinds of other things. So we know you want to hold the people in the classroom accountable. What about who's making that $8 million going to the administrators? How can you hold the administrators accountable? Go ahead.
Let me just continue.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That system that I referenced about accountability applies to the administration as well. So we have to have an outside system that comes in and says, we're holding everyone accountable. We're looking at the books. We're making sure that nothing is going financed that doesn't need to be financed. Everything has to be checked. So in terms of making sure the money doesn't get slipped through the crack, it's not being wasted and abused, we have to have an outside entity that comes in with that same purpose to hold them accountable. All we need to do is say, hey, how do we want this system to be ran? And once we establish how we want the system to be ran, we send people in there and hold them accountable to that. The thing is that the city is not holding the schools accountable for anything. For instance, Columbia University has over 100 buildings that are out of regulation. They don't have ADA access for their access, right? The stairs, no rails, no ramps. This has been reported to 311, to the Department of Buildings, right? They have not done anything to hold the school accountable. How much money is there in those penalties that can go towards education? That's just one thing.
All right, we'll move on to Luke. Go ahead.
I don't have much more to say than that, other than I agree with, holding people accountable, holding the CUNY chancellor accountable in a similar way of what's going on right now, kind of looking at the book, seeing, can you justify this expense? Can you justify this salary? If the answer is no, then I don't think it should exist, or it should at least be lowered. I think the two of us perhaps are the only two CUNY graduates here. We know that the system can be good. There's certainly a benefit in CUNY that it should exist, but the way that it's going about right now, there's definitely got to be change that takes place.
All right, before I answer the question, can you raise your hand if you graduated from CUNY? Or if you have like an academic experience at CUNY? Okay.
Does Columbia count?
It is just, Elijah, you too, right?
I didn't graduate.
Oh, but I mean, just experience at CUNY. Anybody who's spent time. Yeah. So only three, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to build off of that. I think that if the IRS can tax every single dollar that comes into our bank accounts and they can follow the money trail, they can follow where the money is being wasted. But it's not a matter of if we can do it, it's that we will not do it. Let's look at where the money is actually coming from and who's benefiting off of that. Are the students benefiting off of that? You know, if we were to ask just a yes or no question, I think that the answer would be no for most of the candidates here, especially those who went to a CUNY institution. And, you know, holding these administrators accountable is just the surface. They're the bottom of the barrel when we're looking at the money trail. Now we need to work our way back up. Where is this money coming from? Who exactly is it coming from? What agencies are benefiting off of that, and who's leading these agencies, and who's getting the kickback? You know, I think there's a bigger issue than just CUNY. You have to follow where the money actually begins and where the influx is going to, and what special interests those people, those individuals have in funding those specific programs.
My plan for administrators is to make sure these administrators have like a yearly disclosure form that you gotta sign with CUNY and the city of, management services. And these administrators get paid more money than adjuncts and, career professors combined. Like, we gotta stop giving them like huge amount of money. We gotta stop giving them like huge amount of incentives just for just sitting on a desk or just catering to their chairperson of the department. We gotta like get the IRS involved to make sure like they don't have no more issues of overspending for the dumbest reasons. I saw it in Kingsborough and Brooklyn College. No staff member actually said like, hey, we need this, we need that. No, they said, I need a new chair. Like simple things like that.
If you shout out, by the way, Linda McMahon, you know, they're gonna see this, so don't be afraid to do that, all right? Go ahead.
I support, again, holding the school system accountable. I support auditing both the elementary, the middle, the high, and the colleges and the universities. I support auditing each teacher. I support that. But again, I also support paying a person what they are worth. The reason why the education system and our children are illiterate is because the teachers there's been a great falling away with the teachers. If you want talented teachers, you're gonna have to hire them and you're gonna have to pay them. A teacher is not gonna go into that classroom every day and put that child's need in front of them when they cannot make ends meet. I do support preschool, Head Start, elementary, middle, and high school teachers starting out at $100,000 a year. That will keep and retain talented teachers. And I do support college students, you know, and college professors. I do support college professors making $235,000 a year starting out. I do support it. This will allow us to hire and retain talented teachers. When they are being paid well, they will teach well. The reason why children are illiterate, the reason why children are falling behind is because you do not have the best and the brightest standing at the head of that classroom. And I do support ensuring that there are Wi-Fi for the school, for the kids at home. I do support in ensuring that there are computers at home and that there are Wi-Fi, you know, available for them so that they can learn at home. I support that.
What applies for CUNY, I think also applies for the Board of Education. An example, I worked as a consultant a few years back, and they were railroad in fiscal year, and the last 2 months they spent money on copy machines, and then they were top of the line, Xerox machine, beautiful. It was like the Maserati or the Rolls Royce or the but there was no contract for the toner, there was no contract to fix them, there was no contract for the paper. So there we had a beautiful machine and nothing to do. So the waste of the money, I go back to the government. We have the assembly, we have the council, we have the, you know, the Senate, we have the congressman, we have the senator, the state and the federal. And they have oversight committees on education, but nobody's holding people accountable. They are
No. Someone's calling me. I think it's another male candidate. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm gonna take care of that. But keep going. I'm so sorry.
No problem. So I do strongly believe that the teachers teach with love, and I know that because I've had amazing teachers for my children and for myself that took the time to educate me and teach me. When the teacher has passion for what they do, they'll come even if they have the lowest pay. Because they currently have the lowest pay. That's why they go to the field, because they want to educate the next generation. I do believe that the funds that are being misused, and there should be some type of audit, maybe even a hiring of an independent budget office that has nothing to do with CUNY, just to look into their books to see where's the discrepancy. Yeah.
I'm gonna disagree a little bit with some of the stuff that's been said. I think $235,000 is a lot of money for a starting salary. I mean, look, and when I was a sophomore in high school, I got a 5 on the AP calculus test. I am a math whiz. Could I get hired easily, or is it politically that I don't know someone who knows someone to be the person in that room to get that $235,000 salary, which I would like to be a math teacher for intro to calculus, which I could certainly do. I think, in addition to that, rather than having another outside auditor, which would need to be paid, what I want to see is public books. Make the books public. Anyone that could see, look at this expense, look at this expense, look at this expense. It's education. It should be, you know, an area where nothing is private, where every single dollar that's spent is public, and when every dollar spent is public, suddenly we'll find it going back to the students and funding, again, the public schools, especially the community colleges, shouldn't be putting people out.
I want to thank everybody at the table for agreeing with me that what you need is an effective public advocate. What if you could find a public advocate whose college thesis was on why New York City went broke in the 1970s, whose wife went to CUNY, and has a master's degree in finance, and has worked with businesses that are worth hundreds of billions of dollars. I mean, imagine if you could elect a public advocate who had all those credentials and wasn't, you know, dancing around in parades. I don't know. It's just a thought.
You might know a guy.
I know a guy who fits that resume.
We have a student with a question that I'm gonna call in a second, but just so you know, when you talk about the books being open, just so you know, I actually did an investigation of the books of Hunter College, which showed that CUNY administrators, Nia Wu specifically, was getting her cell phone paid for off of student funds, and they went to actually a posh ski resort / swim tunnel resort, which was, you know, on student money once again. This was actually all revealed. Those administrators are still working there to this day. And also, the person that called it out was given a hard time myself. Corey Edens also has been addressing administrator academic abuse with the fighting. She's been fighting 5 years, been fighting 10 years. Once again, we have not gotten a meeting with the chancellor. So the books are public, but even when we reveal it, nothing happens, just so you know. All right, so you had a question, sir?
Yeah, I did.
Come on up, if you could just ask the question to the camera, and then we'll let all the hands go. We have another question in a moment. Go ahead. If you just introduce yourself and ask questions to the camera.
Yeah, so my name is Steven Alexander. I'm actually a CUNY master's graduate from NYU on an MBA. So I actually have a question for you. So I agree on paying educators more for retention purposes, and this is for everyone, but specifically for you initially, and then everyone else can chime in. Labor and criticalness of their role in society, you know, but you made an argument that I'm not sure is feasible, right? So 235K starting. So I ran some numbers, right? CUNY has about 220,000 to 250,000 students. The professors across the board, associate, tenured, everything involved as faculty as well, about 18,000, right? So at the max amount of students with the lowest average rate of like $2,000, that turns out to be like 500 million. But there's 18,000, you know, that's on payroll. So doing that math, 500 million divided by 18K is about 777,000, right? So average out $30,000. That alone shows us there's an incremental difference in $235,000 and $30,000 with paid tuition. Now you stated that you wanted them to have free tuition, right? So I actually, you know, checked some numbers for Jackson State. university, and the average tuition is about $10,000 for the students. And there's only about 500 people, staff at JSU. I would like to know, how can the professors in New York be paid the salaries you presented while tuition being free?
Pulling the money from the single market. With me, I'm going to, place bids on the contracts on the single market, and that will increase the education budget for New York City. Also, you need to realize that New York City is, there are billion-dollar companies here in New York City. So money should have always have been going to education. It should have been the #1 priority here, as far as I'm concerned. But pulling money from the single market, I would definitely increase the education, the funding for the education. And I will ensure that a college professor, where at JSU, you looked at those stats at JSU, a college professor starts out pretty much at $235,000 a year. And like I said, the president of the university, when I was in school, he started out, his starting salary was $1 million a year. So if it can be done at Jacksonville State University in Jacksonville, Alabama, it should be able to be done in New York City. I mean, this is the Mecca, so this is where it should be done.
Okay, so sorry, follow up. So can you explain a streamlined approach of how you'll be able to pull the money from the single market?
Once we bid on the single market and place bids on the contracts that are available on the single market, I will allocate a specific amount that goes directly to education. It will increase the salaries for the college professors, but also for the Head Start, preschool, and elementary, middle, and high school students, teachers. They will start out at $800,000 a year. I do believe and I do support in hiring and retaining competent, talented, and educated teachers. When teachers are getting paid well, they will teach your students, and I do support that.
So besides companies with their own discretion to not, allocate their funds to education, how and who would pay the contracts?
It will come from the single market, and it will go directly, the percentage will come from the single market once those bids are placed. It'll come from the single market, and then it will go directly to the education department.
Gotta get more answers.
We gotta give that a chance.
Go ahead.
I can only, tell you what I know, for experience. I worked in the Department of Corrections, and my job was Director of Assets Management. They closed the House of Detention in the Bronx, which was being remodeled, but they wanted to expand Yankee Stadium, which they did. Remember, they moved it, and all those new elevators and all that new went, and they sold it for salvage. So it was money that went out the window. So I'm trying to say that Rikers Island is going to be closed. That money should be changed for education, not to incarcerate our people, because it costs too much money. And that budget can supply enough money. Let's look into the budget of the Department of Corrections, and you will see that we'll probably have a struggle, versus education, and that's the way to do it, is the way we have to change the way we spend our money. The money's there, we just gotta find it. And I know this because I've worked for the Department of Corrections for 7 years. I was a director of asset management, so I know that there's money there. Thank you.
I just had a question for you.
Go ahead.
When you say 18,000 teachers, you're just counting, higher education CUNY students, or CUNY teachers?
Yeah, all CUNY, associate, tenured, staff, faculty.
So that means that there's considerably more when you're talking about preschool,
Yeah, but we're just talking at the graduate level, well, not graduate, but the college level.
She had suggested though
I'm
that,
talking
right, she had suggested,
preschool,
yeah.
elementary, Head Start, elementary, middle, high school, that is $100,000 a year. Those college professors across the board will start out at $200,000 a year. I'm an advocate for it, that is what I
Noted,
said.
you gotta keep going,
So,
noted.
Absolutely.
like reasonably, when you're talking to all teachers across New York City, that's more than 18,000 teachers.
100%.
Yeah.
But the question was based on the fact that we have tangible numbers through CUNY and,
Right.
tuition being paid at a rate of $2K. So I was just showing that, how can it be done? Exactly.
I was just curious how,
My plan for teacher compensation is just like have a basic salary and a bonus salary, not more than 80 grand. we cannot afford a teacher being paid like more than the city council or more than anybody in the office, because like, it's not feasible to have like teachers running with 200 grand, on 100 grand in their budgets, like, it's not feasible.
Anybody else?
Yes, we need to go to the mayor. Okay? The mayor needs to allocate the proper funds for CUNY. He allocates the funds for every city office in here, and the fiscal year for 2026 is already out. So he is the one that we need to go to and say, hey, education needs your help. If you haven't seen it, wake up, okay? Invest in our children. It starts from the bottom and it goes all the way to the top, which is, CUNY, associate bachelor's, master's degrees, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where we need to go. The mayor, knock on his door, knock on Gracie Mansion, besides the events, obviously.
That's it. I like that. You wanna answer? You wanna answer that? No, you don't have to.
I got to receive the question.
I'd like to answer that question.
Oh, go ahead, yeah. You got this.
Where's the money coming from is your question, basically, right? So again, let me just go back again, how most of these institutions that are in New York are not being held accountable for the violations that these buildings that they own have. So there are billions of dollars out here that is available that the mayor needs to enforce and make sure that Department of Buildings, all these 311, I just say 311, is holding everyone accountable. And then when they go and they're held and they go to court, that the judge is not waving all these off and saying, oh, your fine is dismissed. So that's one problem, right? We need to make sure that the buildings that we're occupying, that we have issues living in, that we're not there, that the landlords, I'm going a little over this one. You guys have helped me a little.
Go ahead, come on.
All right, so the landlords that are not taking care of business, that are not paying these fees, that are not making sure these buildings are livable, right? And we're not seeing those funds being transferred into the system. Another thing is, we all know if we had the 8-to-1 match for funds, if all of us would have raised $100,000, we all would get $800,000, right? If we all raised $1 million, we would all get $8 million. Where would that money come from? 30 people running for mayor alone, that would be 30 times 8 million. We all would have got that money. Where would it come from? Somewhere, right? So the money is out there. We need to stop trying to figure out where the money is. The money is there. The people need to be in office that know who's gonna make that money work, right? That's the problem that we're having. There's too much corruption and not enough flow.
We're actually gonna get that to with another question in a moment, right? Yeah. But actually, I have another student with a question, and he's actually organized, so definitely something we want to talk to you. Come on up. Yeah. You can introduce yourself quick and then ask a question. Go ahead, right? Very excited about this guy.
I know a lot of money, but
Go ahead.
right? Yeah.
So introduce yourself and then just the next question. Go
Good
ahead.
evening, everybody. How you doing? My name is Evan Hernandez.
Speak up.
Speak into it like that.
Good evening, good evening.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Edwin Hernandez, community organizer, peer advocate, amongst other things. I'm here to find out if the job is not being done and the desired quotas of graduates is not being met, higher educational pathways being sought after. Why would we pay teachers more, especially the 6-figure salaries? What are your thoughts on an alternative curriculum that would be tailored adaptively to the individual learner? Outside of that, asylum seekers and agri-education, what are your thoughts?
None of people like to push back this thing.
I'm support, free education for migrants and everybody, because at one point, one of my relatives, of one of us, were not from here. If you look around the room, you're gonna see black and brown faces, mostly. So, I'm just gonna address the money situation. Back in the days, I spearheaded with something called Save Our Schools, because they took $75 million that they gave us and the governor, and I agree with Ross, and that $75 million was given to Dinkins, and Dinkins closed the loop to pay some other costs that it was not related to education. So we mobilized and we got 7,500 signatures. We went up to Albany. They restored the $75 million, which they gave it to the mayor. And then the mayor wanted to use it to close the budget, like I said. So what happened is we mobilized, we went to City Hall, and then they have to restore that money back. That was $75 million that was gonna go to something unrelated to education. So we go back to, guys, we sound like we are helpless. We're not helpless. Listen to what I'm saying. We are the voters. We elect these people. This is a free democratic country. And if we don't go to the ballot, there's a voters' apathy out there and people don't want to vote. So we need to get the vote and we need to take those rascals out of their jobs and bring people across the board, like people like us here, the grassroots effort, the people that have, the heartbeat of the need of the community. So that's it, we need to fight the good fight.
That better answer the question about adaptive education. Would you be able to tailor that, your answer to the approach of adaptive education to every learner?
Well, we need to adapt education to the need of, first of all, of the industry. We have too many kids going for titles that are not going to enhance, their jobs. So as the market, and then the market becomes, cost efficient, or they demand all the jobs, those kids do not have work. So we need to change, and we need to educate our kids that we need to move with the economy. I don't know if I answered your question. I think my friend here might be able to.
Yes. Education is my morning, afternoon, evening, and my every single day. I believe in fully and transparent investing in our children. And it goes it goes all the way from the bottom, right? Now we have 3K. Hopefully we'll have 2K soon, right? I heard one of the candidates say that they're gonna do 2K. Yes, absolutely, start from the bottom. My child was able to do 3K, very excited about education. You have to inspire, motivate the children to learn. It's not just here, fill out this paper, look at the screen. No, you have to really inspire and motivate them. Now with these screens, everything is on YouTube, like where are the actual educators? What's going on, right? What did COVID do? Okay, so we have motivated teachers. Let's continue investing in teachers, not at a reasonable price, obviously, and in our children. Education should be free, and it's currently free in New York City public schools. And it should continue to be free, starting from the bottom all the way to the top.
Adaptive education, to answer his question. So you want to hire and retain teachers to come in and develop a curriculum to fit the needs of individual students, because some students learn one way and other students learn another way. So you want to hire, you want to retain talented and well-trained and well-educated teachers to come in and adapt an education, create a curriculum that is adaptable to each child or a group of students that need that, right? Is that what we want to do? Adaptive education.
All right, got it.
Great. How much are we going to pay them?
Yeah, I want to take a completely different take on this. I think that, for adaptive education, I think we need to really break it down to basics at a certain age. When we're talking about, let's say K through 9, 9 is where you start high school. I think breaking it down to the basics of, it could be anything, basic math, basic English, basic science, whatever we have, and then being able to adapt and tailor it to people for their specific career track. I think it's not an equitable situation, being that New York, and specifically New York public schools, are so diverse. You're never going to be able to tailor it specifically to every single individual from every different community, from different backgrounds of which they choose. And so, I think that when we're talking about adaptive education, you really need to focus on, preparing people for a career track that they're not getting. And we were talking earlier about the CUNY system. They're not getting that education in the CUNY system but it's easier to teach them at an earlier age something that they're actually interested in. And I want to be able to empower, specific nonprofits in each community to be able to tailor education to people from their community that speaks like them, talks like them, has lived like them, but that doesn't also come without auditing for nonprofits to be able to specifically tailor, those educational resources to the community.
I guess I'll just kind of tack on something that I said earlier, which was, we gotta have other outlets that get kids, students into the door first. That's a part of adaptive education. That's, for me personally, my love of learning came from learning about music. From, I think I was 6 years old, I started playing the piano. That was my kind of the door that opened to me to wanting to learn about other stuff. If there's examples like that throughout each community, having kids come into the school, having kids have a safe place to learn about different things, to be able to be engaged, to be proud of where they're going. You can adapt different kinds of teaching techniques, whether it be online, whether it be tangible or not tangible, tactile, whether it be all the different kinds of learning that can be had. That comes after. But I think it's really about getting kids engaged, teens, everybody, into the door first.
All right, so adaptive education. It's easy to do, it just takes a little bit of patience to make happen. So there's one thing that we do is restructure every single school system, meaning from the lowest to the highest, and give people an opportunity to say, hey, what type of learner are you? Do you learn by smell, touch, taste, all these different senses that everybody learns differently, right? So we can have our schools set up so people have a choice. That's somebody else's time or not mine. We can have a choice on what school we want to put them in based on how they learn. So if this school is set up for people that are audible learners, they can have a choice to go to that school. If this school is set up for people that learn by visually, they can go to this school. So we can set up new schools in the public school system all around the city with this opportunity where you can learn according to what you think you learn you're best at, right? And then in the system, we can also incorporate a hybrid course for people that don't really know how they learn best yet, right? So you can come in and figure it out. But that's one way that we can approach this, and understanding how each person learns differently, no matter what if they have disabilities or whatnot. I'm a disabled student, so I understand the struggle that we get sometimes in trying to make sure we have the same abilities to take these tests and perform the same way as other people.
And I appreciate people, I know like you went a little over, but just so you know, I work with, someone has to do the hard job of keeping you guys to the minute and allows us to ask more questions, so that's a very valuable throw-in. Just, Javon is purposely affected by this problem that's being talked about right now, because just so you know, he actually has a disability from actually a slip and fall accident that happened, and the school's not making accommodations for him. There's a student I'm working with right now in the CUNY system at Hunter College, who right now, she doesn't want her name out there. The same gatekeepers, the same stuff going on in the Harvey Weinstein industry, where these administrators hold the academic careers of these students in check and threaten them with that, is actually weaponized against students all over, and that's why myself and Corey Edens have been asking 5-10 years to try to get these issues addressed. But once again, the power of the elites, right? The people at the top allow themselves to escape any kind of accountability and address very important issues like, once again, people that need accommodations for, actually Hunter College was recently successfully sued for not actually making accommodations for people with disabilities. So this is actually like not talked about in the news. So that's a very important question. Before we have one more question from this guy, I did want to bring up something that Javon brought up earlier too as well, which is very important. We know that Columbia and actually, NYU are some of the largest property owners in all of New York City, and they're tax-free. There's a lot of shenanigans. Just so you know, they're also weaponizing. There's a New York Young DSA, and I invited them, and none of them are here. a lot of these not-for-profits are being weaponized against you. Right now, there's another group called the New York City Student Union, and it seems like they're on the student side. They're actually a Democrat outburger group that actually, as a war victim myself of the Korean War, so I'm gonna get to the question right now. The fact of the matter, well, I actually have two, but I'm gonna ask the one about the political, right? About the way that the, you know, the political relationship of the students, right, and what's going on and how the not-for-profit conflict. But first I want to ask about, where do you come off with the large amount of property ownership that the schools have and how they're tax-free? You guys want to address that? And the community is also involved with some of these shenanigans. They're buying up public housing, by the way, too. Kips Bay, a public housing project bought by Pace University. What is their business at? These are no longer educational institutions, they're financial institutions that are bankrupting our children and our poor communities. Go ahead.
I work as chief of staff for Ida Clayton Powell, council member. And one of the things Columbia did, you gotta realize that above 96th Street, the true Columbia, both the university and New York Presbyterian Hospital, is the biggest job provider in, above 96th Street. Also, the footprint of Columbia University and Columbia Medical Hospital, especially the medical hospital, the footprint of construction is bigger than the World Trade Center. That was one of the biggest projects, but both Columbias actually have the biggest footprint in New York. Most people don't realize that. So, some of the cities that were owned or that were turned over to HUD, or to HPD, I'm sorry, at one point, Columbia and some of these universities, because of their influence, had first pick to get those buildings to their portfolio. So that is one of the ways that back in the days, they used to get property. I think also one of the projects on 145th Street where they built the housing there, the project there, that's owned still by Columbia University. So, Columbia University. So they get properties, or used to get properties by the elected officials because
So
they
what's
are.
your position? Are you going to take away that right for them to own property, or are you going to put some limitations?
We live in a free democracy. Just like everybody, we compete and we have to pay our way. Everybody has to pay our way. I say that the university we have to instate a tax called good neighbor taxes. And they have to pay taxes because that's
the community has to pay some taxes, especially when they're not involved in education. They're involved in all kinds of business. Okay, that's a good answer. Okay, I guess we'll go this way, then we'll go back. Well, if you want to answer first, go ahead, Salvador.
I say we should take away all these private institutions, their tax exemption, because they make a lot of money not going to their students. They're always complaining that they don't have enough money to buy a new hospital that they don't need because their hospitals are failing. They gotta first focus on their first business before they could do their third business. So we gotta take away those tax exemptions because I have been the victim of like forced termination. Yeah, these people know how to twist your words. Yeah, like they get a lot of money through like all these government programs like SYT, tax exemptions, everything. Yeah, it's time for them to pay something.
Okay, that's a good answer, okay. Any, did you want to answer?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Definitely they need to pay money because the children need it. You're getting so much money and we need to invest it in our children. They need to pay tax money, and for sure, this is one of the major policy reform. We need to tax the rich. And they're super duper incredible rich.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's the reason I said it's going to be called the good neighbor
I
tax.
understand, okay.
The reason for it is because there are all the institutions that are starting in our communities, and if you do that, we destroy the institutions coming out. And that's the reason we have to go case by case.
You want to answer? I do. Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay. Sorry, to just get back on the point, I mentioned a couple of things, but We know that, a lot of the schools, NYU, Columbia, are the largest property owners in all of New York City. They're gentrifying the thing, and they're also influencing politics in a way that benefits their own interests and are shaping the narrative through the not-for-profits. What do you, how can you fight against, or, you know, maybe you think that they should be allowed to have the properties without taxes, or what's your position on fixing this problem?
All right, first of all, we need to make sure that all buildings are up to standard. If they're not up to code, then they need to be penalized and have a timestamp on ownership of that building. If you're not going to make sure that the building is maintained appropriately, then you're gonna lose that property. That's what the system that we need to put in place should be doing, right? And so as mayor, that is a system that I will ensure is in place.
Okay, and what about the tax-free, petition?
Tax-free is gonna be taken care of. The tax-free system is gonna be definitely approached, and we'll put pressure on as much as possible. If we have the power to say, hey, we can start taxing, then let's do that. If not, we'll do everything we can to push that program and remove the tax-free, the tax-free clause.
Okay, yeah, all right, cool. Anybody else? Okay, you have another question? Come on, bud. Actually, when we had the protest of Rob Brooks in Albany, you were leading the Manhattan contingent, right? Yeah, so, you see the element, that's good.
I'm trying my best to stay on camera.
They're gonna find me.
Yeah, so what is your approach for asylum seekers and migrant education?
The asylum seekers, migrant education, their kids and them just supposed to have the same amount of like credentials to get into their appropriate grade level. And about that, we cannot give them like a special place. They need to like assimilate with the other students and other people that are learning the same thing. We cannot give them like person A is supposed to have this education, person B cannot have this education with person A. We cannot have that. You gotta give them all the same type of information that everybody's gotta go through.
That brings me a funny story. For 6 months when I got to New York, all I ate was ham and cheese. Because that's all I mean, for the first like 2 or 3 months, because that's all I need. And I have ham and cheese. And that's what but I think that, you know, everybody in America, migrants and immigrants from back in the days up to date, we all paid a price to get what we are today. So, you know, we have to also stop giving incentive to people that, you know, that we all pay dues. I mean, it will be free education, it'll be that, but they have to make the transition. They have to assimilate America, because America is a melting pot, and we have to give everybody the chances for the education. But we tend to go over extreme. We're giving $500 check vouchers, or money check vouchers, or, you know, for, you know, food because they don't like the food. When I was growing up, whatever they put in my table, that's what we ate. So.
Oh, just a quick one, just want to add, since this is the higher education forum, right, the discussion town hall, are you also talking about, I think you're talking about, we're not just talking about the free education for the lower grade levels, right, which you may be thinking about, but we're talking really, are you talking about free college education as well? I mean, you can clear that up if you want to, but this is the higher education discussion panel.
It's more so along the lines of the individuals who are coming over here and they're being thrown into these classrooms with no knowledge of anything that's going on. A tailored approach, I assume you're bilingual?
Yeah.
When you arrived, did you need that extra assistance of somebody who spoke your native tongue in order to adjust into the population? Also,
everybody used to make fun of me because I killed the language, but that's where we got better, and that's where we succeeded, because it was hard on us. You know, we have to treat everybody on an equal footing. We should not make certain changes. Now, there are people with disabilities that they need to be addressed, and that's a different issue. So I'm not saying across the board we're going to eliminate certain things that we need to get our people where they need to go. You know, so I said we got to be fair to everybody. Now, after a certain age, you know, you are a grown up. You should pay at least, you know, part of the tuition, accountable to everybody. Thank you.
Going back a little bit to the original question, I had to do with asylum seekers, and I think it's worth differentiating between legal and illegal migrants. Frankly, I'm flabbergasted at seeing certain hotels in my neighborhood, a Holiday Inn got turned into a migrant shelter. These people, they don't look afraid. They don't look like they're running from something. If they are in fact seeking asylum, they should be in an uninhabited part of the state. We're giving them prime real estate. That is the kind of money that we could take, rather than doing that, we build like a little community in an uninhabited part, would be very cheap, much more efficient use of money. They wouldn't be kind of integrating, they would have personalized, cheaper way of going with things. And then ultimately, if they're putting in effort, they're showing that it could be productive, maybe they can say, and if they aren't, then ship them back.
One question, when you speak about individuals and you're saying cheap solutions, do you think that's appropriate to even utilize that terminology when dealing with human beings?
I think that 1,500 square foot in Brooklyn is expensive. I think 1,500 square foot in uninhabited part of upstate New York is cheap, and I think it is effective because the cheaper solution is the better solution in this case. I'm not saying cheap like give them grade B meat. I'm saying cheap like the real estate. They're coming into my neighborhood, and that's not cool. Cheaper cost of living upstate, somewhere that people doesn't have a premium of real estate, is both cheaper and better. Again, I'm not saying like feed them grade B, grade F meat. I'm saying put them somewhere where it isn't like somewhere where people would pay $80 a night for a hotel, where they're getting $200 a night for a hotel. If it's way upstate, way far, it is cheaper and better.
So this hits me differently. My dad brought me and my mom here in 2000, early 2000, and I was just put into high school. Here, this is your high school, no help, no para, no assistant teacher support, no dual language, no support at all. But again, I had dedicated teachers that were able to teach me my pronunciation of English, even help me understand the dictionary. So it is different for me because I also support migrant communities, and immigrants are not here just because they want to be here, it's because they want to have a better life, right? And what does a person that is scared look like, right? Because I'm scared all the time. So there is no like, look at my face, I'm a little scared, I'm gonna hide. No. What does a person that is scared, that has trauma in their backs, what do they look like, right? Because every single day that I see a person in need, doesn't matter if they have papers or not, I help them. But I'm not gonna see them, oh, you don't look scared, you sure you need me? You understand? So like, every person is different, and migrant families are here for better support, for educational purpose, and they're here for a better life. And I think investing in our children and families is the right way to go.
Okay, anybody else?
Yes, even though this is a educational forum, so I'm gonna go along those lines. I've already spoken about, I made a video on my YouTube channel, Tabitha C.L. Ward, about my position on immigration. However, I wanna say that, a lot of people are fine with putting a lot of money into migrants and illegal immigrants that come into this country. They're fine with it. They even made a comment about, when he said about cheap housing or cheap communities or what have you, they made a comment about it. So you wouldn't hear a word, a peep about putting money into migrants or illegal immigrants. You can put in as much as you want and you won't hear a peep about it. What about putting in money into teachers when they're educating? Can we do the same thing?
Yeah, I think that even when you're talking about immigration and asylum seekers, you're coming here, and a lot of immigrants are coming here with the assumption that the American government they owe them something. They're coming here for the benefits and get free this, free that, but they don't want to assimilate. And I'm not saying all of them, because there's a lot of hardworking individuals that come to this country. Look at New York City. It's an extremely diverse and ethnic background city. They're coming here for a better life. However, when you're talking and you have that mindset of, I'm getting something for free, I'm getting something for free, I'm getting something for free, you're not gonna get a product of people that want to actually get, work for a better life, and work for not only a better life for themselves, but for the community around them. You're thinking of people who just wanna come in and take and take and take, and we cannot lower ourselves as the American people to that standard that we can go and give our money just to everybody. We have to hold ourselves to a better quality of, the American dream, because it's completely gone right now and non-existent.
Okay, makes sense.
I have thoughts on that, but I'll just go back to your question originally. I think a potential solution for something like that, I agree that, if kids of all sorts of backgrounds are gonna be going to similar schools, there could be a potential augment of substitute, like a substitute teacher group that, includes, instead of just, general or generic, a teacher gets called out sick or something that you call them for a substitute, but that there are specialty classes of teachers that, if you speak Taiwanese or, I don't know, Farsi, that, hey, we have a couple students that are 4th grade, 5th grade that need a little bit of help, that can call in, that it's not, all day, every day, like that is your teacher, but, additional supplemental help.
All right, so I have some other videos that address the asylum seekers and whatnot, and that'd be worth looking at. But just to tap into this real quick, we can easily set up some temporary camps that allow people coming over to help themselves along with our helping them out, right? If you think about it, almost every single one of us in this room is an immigrant. So let's not forget where we all really came from and what America really is. America is an immigrated nation.
Well, just
This is my time to talk. This is my time to talk.
Just go ahead. If you
Please,
attack me, I
please,
will
I'm not
respond.
attacking you, sir. I'm not attacking you, sir.
I'll let him finish and then I'll give you a chance to talk.
I would never attack you. I love you.
Yeah, just finish up, yeah.
All right?
Your minute's going.
Come on, I just want to make sure that he understands. I'm not
I got it,
attacking him.
you got it. Your minute's going, come on.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, continuing on, all of us here are almost immigrants. I don't know anybody here that their family roots started in America. If you know your family roots started in America, let me know, because I don't. So we all need to figure out and understand that we are all in the same family. We all need and then once we have a system in place where everybody is stable, then they can either assist and work more here, or they can go back where they came from to make their countries better. But we are able to help each other. We just don't want to.
Okay, that's a good answer, yeah.
All right.
All right, so just so you know, we're gonna ask 3 more questions. We're almost done. I think after that, we'll have a little mixer. If you guys wanna make any last comments, I will ask, the last question will be ask if you have any final messages for the students, so you might think about that down. I have one more question. Mr. Janice has a question. Anybody else have a question? We got 3 more questions being asked.
Okay, this is regarding subsidizing the tuition.
We can't see you, Janice.
Go ahead.
Oh, hold on.
Get on your cue.
Subsidizing tuition. Now, I don't know where we're at with that regarding the, in New York State, and how much money comes from the federal government, how much is being subsidized, or is not. So, a few of you are for subsidizing tuition, but doesn't that, general consensus is when the federal government or the state government, if they subsidize money for tuition, that gives the school the license to raise tuition. So, like, in other words, the more money that the government gives you, the higher they can rate it. Like, it's just a vicious circle, okay? So, what about the tuition, subsidizing tuition? And how would you fix that?
I think Yeah, okay. I can start. So at least in terms of public higher education, elementary schools, public elementary schools don't raise their tuition. Public high schools don't raise their tuition.
Right.
So in my view, a public higher education shouldn't raise its tuition either. In that sense, you know, it's almost an irrelevant kind of way of thinking. When it comes to private schools, that's a different matter, and that's definitely something that should be looked into. I know, you know, NYU, Columbia, it's worth talking about. But in terms of public, you know, it shouldn't cost anything.
Well, I think it's a simple matter of supply and demand. We're talking about, you know, CUNY education, you know, there's 8 million people in the city, and, you know, we're talking about raising tuition rates. Yes, you know, I understand that there is a need for funding for public education, especially higher education. However, I don't think that it's something that the government should interfere with, and I think that it's a bigger issue to, you know, sustain the supply, sustain the demand rather than supply. We have hundreds of schools in the state, you know, how many nationwide. So it's not a matter of raising tuition or decreasing tuition. It's about, you know, making it affordable and realizing that supply and demand is actually up to these organizations, because education, unfortunately, in this country is a business. That's the nature of it.
My stance on education being subsidized, it should only be 100% scholarship for people in NYC. If you're from outside the city or outside the state, they should rely on market level rates. And if you don't, this CUNY is the only college, is the only CUNY system in the state that actually have state funding, but all these state fundings are not being used correctly. So
That's true.
yeah.
Want to answer?
Kev, you want to answer?
I'll answer if you don't want to.
Did you answer already?
My first question is, what would you want done?
I just see that there's a common knowledge, or maybe I'm wrong, that the more that the government funds or subsidizes the schools, it gives them they say, okay, they can raise it because they know they're gonna get this money from the government, you know? So it was $4,000, how many years ago? Now it's 8,000, like, how does that work, being subsidized? I mean, do you see that as being a problem?
Subsidizing students' education with the government?
The government, because they'll give them whatever money, they'll just keep subsidizing, they'll make it higher and higher. The school will raise the tuition, and it, you know, that's what the common thought is. So if I'm wrong.
I think what we need to do is start tapping into the school's endowments and making sure that we do a match for match as much as possible.
Okay.
I think that's one way to start addressing things. If we're gonna be subsidizing,
Right.
make sure that it's done equally. Some of these endowments are enough to feed the entire country.
Yes, I
All right?
agree.
One
right.
school's endowment can feed the entire country.
And if they can't justify raising it, I mean, maybe it's because they're getting more money from the government, and they say, oh, we can raise it now, and it's just, it's just not right.
Like, that's my question, that's my answer. is to
Yeah,
make
that
sure
was a
it's
good
equal.
answer, yes.
Just match, match.
Anybody else want to ask a question? And you also have a chance to also rebuttal, so you want to rebuttal something earlier?
I'll jump on that.
I didn't even finish my comment if he's gonna rebuttal.
I just want to give everybody a fair chance, yeah? What was the?
It wasn't an attack,
I was,
it's okay.
it was, to the first part was to deal with the differentiation between illegal and legal. To give illegal, like somewhere where they're safe, to give them somewhere where people speak that language and can teach them English, and to provide them an area where people are, these are the people here, here's why they're here, here's what we're doing, that's fair game, which is better than the system we have right now. And to go back to like discussing the notion of subsidies, like look at the parks right now. the parks budget is huge, and the grass in the parks, look, I mean, the grass near Tavern on the Green, this sheep's meadow grass, phenomenal. Why doesn't every bit of grass in the parks look that good? It's tracking the money, it's promoting, you find it, and you figure out how to distribute that information further into the public. And better spending, not more spending.
Okay, we'll probably have a discussion on immigration stuff later on, just so you know, this is really a discussion on higher education. It was a question about access of people, immigrants to higher education, and now we have your general ideas of whether you're for that or against that, so thanks for answering that. The last questions are coming up, so my second last question, right, Deanna, you got a question?
If you already have somebody else, it's okay.
I'm so sorry, I did have, I did actually have, maybe
My
I'll slip
question
in.
is very fast though.
Okay, I'll slip in one more question with Dion, because, one question that I'm gonna ask, I'll ask my question for Dion to ask, and I'll have the last question is where you get to speak whatever you want to the students who are watching, right, the higher education students that are watching. But, my question will be, right now, we know that there's actually a lot of students, there's a lot of this kind of like, outrage going on the colleges. We have the Palestinian versus Israel's, and just so you know, as a Korean American, as a victim of war, people from my community are being silenced and kept out of the anti-war movement. It's as ridiculous as having a reparations event or a criminal justice reform event with the exclusion of black people. I'm sorry to say that a lot of people that are well-meaning, that support the Palestinians, they don't know if their money's being sucked up by millionaires who's pushing out actual war victims out the way. So, just want you to. So the thing is that right now, we know that the United States government gives a lot of money to the schools to create people who are graduates of the school system. But we know that the schools are also threatening people and saying, you know, the political stance that you take is not one that we like. But we also know that students who are trying to attend school peacefully and who are not advertising a certain political agenda may be actually attacked just for wearing a yarmulke or whatever, right? We don't want that to happen either. So as in terms of balancing free speech and in terms of balancing, right, students that are actually facing an academic threat to their, I know a lot of them are at Columbia right now. Well, what do you have to say about this particular issue? Good luck. We'll start from here and go on down. You want to speak first, veteran?
No,
You
no,
want to start?
no.
Well, it would be nice if you just go down the thing, but okay, we can pass it all around. Pass the mic, go ahead. You got the mic over there. Pass the mic, good luck.
I hope I understood your question fully. Is this about protecting students on campus who have been?
It's both sides, right? You have the people who are gonna say that they wanna have free speech.
Right.
And then you have other people that say that they have a right to get an education without being bothered by someone else who, they might not even be supporting Israel, they might just be doing yarmulke, they might be accused of something. I could see that, there's oversteps on both sides, just so you know. Even though I have my particular, criticisms of both sides and, my commiseration. Okay, go ahead.
This goes back to my 3 points on my foundation of my campaign. That's respect in love, reform in love, and restore in love, right? So once we understand how to respect ourselves, love ourselves, we'll understand how to treat each other like we want to be treated. And we'll respect our differences. It doesn't matter what you look like, what you sound like, what you walk like.
If you could also include in your answer what should happen to the students here at Columbia that are actually facing academic, right? Yeah, their ability to graduate is being threatened right now. What they're watching, what do you have to say to them?
I can tell them that my graduation has been on hold for almost 2 years because Columbia is not allowing me to finish school. I slipped and fell on campus since you want to go there. I slipped and fell on campus 2 years ago, February 1st, on campus, right? On Columbia University's campus. They told me they were going to take care of my bills. They told me they were going to hook me up with their doctors. It's been 2 years and now they're trying to evict me. They've been trying to kill me. They've been trying to kick me out of school. They won't let me finish school. I've gone to the mayor's office. I've gone to the Commission on Civil Rights, Human Rights Division. I've gone to Department of Buildings. I've gone to court. I'm going everywhere. But they have such a deep hold on the community in the city that it's causing me to have to become the mayor in order to address the corruption. So that's my answer if people want to know how it's going to be corrected.
Yeah.
I'm on hold. I can't go to school for 2 years now, but the mayor's office is in charge of all of this. So am I investigating and finding out why is this allowed to happen to me? If it's happening to me, it's happening to one too many students, right? So this isn't about me. I don't want to be here doing this. I wanted to finish school. I was supposed to graduate in 2022, but I'm still here, not in school. because Columbia University and other schools and other entities are keeping me from being able to pursue my education, finish school, go somewhere else and go whatever. So now I'm stuck in New York. I can't go to another school. I can't transfer to another school. I can't start all over again.
You got it. This is going direct to Linda McMahon and also the Department of Education, so we're gonna try to get this oversight. Go ahead, Luke.
So that's my answer, temporary.
Thank you.
Running for New York City Council, I have very little sway when it comes to foreign policy. However, public safety is paramount. Free speech mixed with violence is unacceptable, as is fear of learning for being the target of that violence. Hunter College and parts of Baruch are in my district, and I want to see both sides have a reasonable conversation to be able to speak out without aggression, but also to be able to learn and to be educated without being prosecuted. There shouldn't be room in our city for anti-Semitic violence. There also shouldn't be room in our city for being anti-Palestinian. That just isn't acceptable in a free society that we're supposed to be.
So do you think Columbia may have overstepped with or maybe didn't follow, but what about the students here at Columbia? Well, other schools, including CUNY, right, who are actually threatened with not getting their degrees for.
Did they overstep?
Okay, so if they were violent, no degree, but if they weren't violent, then you're gonna support the right to free speech.
Yeah, you support free speech, you support people getting their education.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Yeah, excellent. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree 100% with Luke. I think if Columbia did overstep, you don't overstep on free speech, but you do definitely curb violence. I think on both sides of the issue, no matter how I feel about, an opposing side or the same side, I've always advocated for peace among both parties of whatever conflict is going on throughout the world. So I think, again, I'm firmly for free speech, but I'm also against civil violence.
I support free speech, but the thing about Columbia is like another story. Like, I've never seen something like this in Brooklyn College, Kingsborough. But the thing about Columbia University, they didn't overstep their powers, but they did overstep of how many people they could prosecute.
Okay.
Yeah.
I support free speech, of course, and I also support the right for an education. So for those who were, exercising their right for freedom of speech, their First Amendment, and they were out there peacefully protesting, nothing should happen to them. But for those who behaved in violent behavior, engaged in violent behavior, and was, attacking those who was dressed a certain way or wearing certain items, they should be prosecuted and they should be refused the right to finish their degree. You should know how to peacefully protest. You have to be held accountable. This is higher education. So, you can't be, you have to be held to a different standard. This is higher education. You should know how to peacefully protest. You should know how to go out there and exercise your voice without it turning violent. And if the situation began to turn into a violent situation, every student should have removed themselves. Those who were peacefully protesting should have removed themselves, should have separated themselves so that they would not be caught up in the fray, so that, the videos and the different information, the different
that's a good answer.
information would not have shown them as engaging in violence. You should have removed yourself.
I'm sure they appreciate your support. Thank you.
There's no room for violence. And one of the things and I agree with most of the panel, we have weaponized everything. Last year, I ran an election and City Santiago for the assembly. The opposition has $600,000. The PAC money and the institution money, and some of the unions are making decisions for the local districts. And every all politics is local, my friends. So we do have the right as the council to create local laws that can go up to Albany and change those laws. So we have to stand up for what we believe, and the weaponizing and bullying, because that's what the institutions and that's what a lot of people do. A lot of elected officials weaponize it against our own people. So we gotta stop that, and it's by getting the right person elected.
First of all, I'm so sad that happened to you. I wish that experience should never happen to anyone. Unfortunately, it is common. It is also common in non-for-profits, bullying and harassing their own employees that they fire because they saw something or they said something, you know what I mean?
Yes.
They forget freedom of speech. I can say anything and everything wherever, right? Don't come back and hurt me. You understand? Like, we're safe in this country, we're safe in this city. And even as a community leader, a community advocate, I am able to make a difference. I don't have to be a city council to make a difference. I don't have to be a public advocate to make a difference, right? I am a community leader and I will continue to speak up. And please, let's talk about that situation. Because we have the right to be safe and to speak what's in our mind without getting repercussion.
Firm believer in First Amendment rights, firm believer in freedom of speech. The notion of anyone feeling that they are afraid, that could be a division of the NYPD, of council affairs, just dedicated to the notion of anyone who feels that they cannot speak their minds. That should not be an issue ever. This is 2025.
Appreciate that. We got two last final questions. Thanks for participating, folks. I think after this, there may be a mix. I saw someone bring donuts in. Dion, actually, a county committee person here in the Bronx. You're going to want to know county committee people because the down ballot cancer can help you with running for city council. All right.
Actually, I got promoted. So I'm the 78th Assembly District Leader, Dion Powell. My district's on 225th Street on the other side of the major Vegan Expressway. My question's lightning round, because I was canning too, and your answers are the following options: yes, no, or undecided. Here's the question for everybody. Remember, your answer can only be yes, no, or undecided. Do you think that Mayor Eric Adams should resign? Starting with you. Straight across.
Yes.
Hell yes.
You could say it. Whoa! 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 Yes, no, or undecided. I say no.
You gotta control these people.
No.
Yes.
No, as of right now.
That was not in the option.
No.
All
All right, that's exactly
I have one more guy who's gonna make a quick comment, and then we're gonna ask the final question. But yeah, you have to ask me the final question. Go ahead.
If he resigns, we don't have an opportunity to talk to him.
Go ahead.
With all of the uprise of discourse on social media, what would your plans be in efforts to combat online anti-Semitism?
Okay, we're gonna combine that with your final statement. So folks, this is gonna be your final statement. We're gonna go around. Tell all the students that are watching with this, the higher education, New York City Town Hall right here. We're gonna go all around. We're gonna have every single candidate, and also if you could shout out your website, how people can follow you and contact you. And by the way, these candidates, I think in a week or two, gonna need people to help them petition, help people make phone banks for their candidates. So if they appeal to you and if what they're saying speaks to you, then get involved. All right, go ahead. We'll start from Javon and then we'll go on down the line. Go ahead. All right. Folks, also check out Community Exposed. We're exposing a lot of stuff that's going on in the college system. Yeah. Okay.
That was a powerful impression. I like that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So how are we going to deal with the anti-Semitism on the internet? Well, we have to involve some cybersecurity personnel, and we'll go from there, taking influence and input from people like yourself who have ideas about why it needs to change and how it needs to change. I'm not someone who knows everything. I'm up here learning and how we can deal with it. I know how to approach everything, but I don't know everything. right? So, my final comments are, hey, first and foremost, I'm a man of God. So I approach everything that way, right? So the way that I will be and do things is based in love, first and foremost. So I'm a man of God, and that's it. You want to learn more about me, go to my website. It's tri-again.org, O-R-G. There's plenty of information on there. There's video footage of other interviews. There's pictures, videos, audio. There's letters and things. There's a lot of information on there that'll let you understand who I am and what I'm dealing with in life and why I'm inspired to be here today to assist everyone here and make it better for everyone. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you. To kind of go off of that, I would agree there needs to be a bigger push in cybersecurity through the NYPD. I don't think they have the resources that they could have. That, you know, I'm sure that people like those in the Marine Corps have some sort of understanding of cybersecurity. That's certainly something to look into. I don't want to go as far as to say that I'm for police reform. I think the word reform kind of, it brings up mixed connotations. But even people within the NYPD know that there needs to be some sort of change, some sort of upgrade when it comes to the way that they do policing, the way that they have practices and procedures. Whether or not that involves money is a totally different issue and something to be talked about, but definitely when it comes to anti-Semitism online, cybersecurity. To everybody here and watching at home, thank you so much for coming and listening to all of us talk and blab and different sorts of things. I'm running again in District 4, so the east side of Manhattan. My name is Luke Florzak, LukeFlorzak. LukeFlorzak.NYC is my link, and you can read and watch all my content and all the other stuff. So thank you very much.
Oh, just so you know, guys, I'm actually gonna put all the candidates can put their comments on below on this video, so they can actually have the direct link to their site. And also, just so you don't have to spell it out, because I will actually put a little thing underneath that spells out your all your stuff. So just okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys spelling out. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, answering the question, I do agree with the cybersecurity measure, but I also think we need to identify exactly what hate speech is, because I feel like right now we're on the path towards censorship. We see that, any pro-Palestinian comments are actually being censored on TikTok, being censored on Instagram, when it could be as simple as sending a prayer for all of the people who are involved or all of the children that are being killed. So, I think that we shouldn't allow censorship, but to identify where exactly quote unquote hatred is coming from, and then we'll be able to curb that. However it goes, whether it's the social media platforms that are regulating it, whether we the communities are regulating it, that is to be determined still. My message is that the youth is here. I think that the youth needs to get involved in politics. Just a year ago, I would have never saw myself running for city council. I was a 21-year-old young entrepreneur aspiring to help the community specifically in the small business world. But my campaign slogan is leadership of the new era. And that's exactly what I intend to do, is to lead the youth and be able to empower that vision where the youth is no longer neglected as a form of, hey, we're gonna push you to the side and let the adults take care of it. No, the youth is very powerful, the youth is very adaptable, and the youth is here to stay and to win. That being said, my Instagram handle is @Diaz45, Diaz FOR45, and I'm running for City Council in District 45, Flatbush, Brooklyn, against Farrah Lewis. Thank you.
Social media should have some form of self-policing. Yeah, like Mark Zuckerberg is trying to move away from it. But if social media networks want our money, they should use that money to form a police force and have partnership with our NYPD. Message for the future in the past is that the future is always coming. You gotta like see what's going on. The past is always reliable because sometimes the past just come up in the future. So in order to find me, it's on Salvador Morales on Facebook, Instagram, Sal_Joker10.
To answer the question, I do believe in increasing cybersecurity, but I want to make sure that the security is actually addressing hate speech and not just their violation of their First Amendment. And I've enjoyed this forum on higher education, and I do believe, like I stated, that the Bible says that a servant is worthy of his hire. So I do believe in putting more money into education, not only just higher education, but all of the preschool, Head Start, elementary, middle, and high school. And like I said, the Bible said a servant is worthy of his hire. So I do believe in paying our teachers what they are worth. You can find me on, I started a YouTube channel at Tabitha C.L. Ward, and the rest of my information is listed below. Thank you.
There's no room for anti-Semitism anywhere in the world. And too many lobbies and too many groups have too much influence in all the different medias, and we have to also curtail that. I put my money where my mouth is, and I'm running for city council in their district, and I will give 30% of my income to organize the community, because all politics is local, and if we don't organize our own backyard, we're not going to have the influence to help the brother or help anybody who needs the help that they need to get. My personal email, you can email me, is ficocolon@yahoo.com. That's FICOCOLON@gmail.com. And I say it again, there's no room for anti-Semitism in this America. America should be united and protect everybody equally. Thank you.
I have to echo that. Most of everything that I do is not paid, so I will continue to do the work anyways. And I have to agree, there is absolutely no room for hate at all. Everything that I do is with love and care, and because I actually do care. And if I use all the resources that we have, the district attorney's office has so much resource in education, and they do go to different forums educating parents and students and staff with regards to cybersecurity and safety. Utilize them. If you see something, please say something. Go to the district attorney's office, email them, call them. They are available. This is not propaganda from them. I use them all the time. And please, I have Instagram, Rosa Cares 2025. I also have a website, rosacares.com. And if you want to find my cell phone, it is literally public. Go to Google, google.com, and then you put Rosa Diaz East Harlem, my cell phone, my email, my everything is in the website, just in case. And thank you. This forum was amazing.
In terms of anti-Semitism, I am a Jewish man. I was bar mitzvahed at Temple Akiva in Culver City, California, Los Angeles County, where I'm from. I went to Jerusalem for the second time in November of last year. I think better definitions on what is and isn't anti-Semitism could apply here. I'm not a supporter of Netanyahu. I think that basically Gantz, Lapid, Sar, Lieberman, a number of people would be better. However, jumping back to closing arguments and self-promotion here, my website, northbrooklynrepublicans.com, has information on the North Brooklyn Republican Club and on myself, and it's filling out a bit. It should be updated. My contact information is at that location again, northbrooklynrepublicans.com. And I appreciate Ed and everyone else who put this together, giving myself and other candidates a forum to speak. I think I love New York City. I wish it was more conservative. That's like where I land. Better accounting of the money, lower taxes. However, we have something special here, and let's enhance that.
right, folks, that's about it. We're gonna have a little mixer now. I saw someone got some donuts, so that people are just gonna be, just, so you know, we got other discussion panels coming with the disabled. I just contacted Downstate Adapt. Adapt is the largest disabilities advocacy group in the nation. We have other discussion panels coming up on the Robert Brooks situation and the criminal justice reform, maybe even public housing. Thanks again to all the candidates for getting together. We may be able to get them to work together to get the petition stuff done. So, shout out once again to Deion Powell, a very high-level political consultant, always someone who I always trust and asking. And thanks for the students for coming by and asking questions too. All right? Yeah. God bless. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks, folks. Thanks for your patience. Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, any last minute comments? Anything you want to say? No? You good? Thanks again, all right? We're gonna do another one for Robert Brooks situation, all right? Thanks again, folks, all right? We close.